to business in our Tuesday night space. Welcome. Thank you everybody for joining us tonight. I want to thank our loyal viewers, supporters, Frequency 5 FM, Maria and Joseph. Of course, my special guest and co-host tonight, Kim Bassler. Thank you so much for being here.
I'm excited.
So excited. I have to give a shout out to my baby girl, Julia Scalise, my Thursday night co-host. Of course, my other baby girl, Felicia, that everyone knows is around but never sees, but it's okay. She's still a wonderful supporter.
Absolutely.
So excited to be here tonight. I was saying earlier that I want to say right off the gate that every topic that we cover is very important in its own right. And for me, health, fitness, and the overall mindset really hits home. And I know it hits home for my loved ones and for family members and for friends. And I want to say right off the gate, you guys, and we got some really positive feedback. People were like, wow, this is a good topic. I want to tune in tonight. Very important. It's affecting a lot of people. I have to tell you guys, having gone through my own mental health journey, when my mind was over thinking and it was just weighed with so many thoughts, my mind was heavy with so much stuff. I know that it affected my body. I know that it affected my emotions. It manifested into all kinds of unpleasant things, you know? And I got to tell you, it not a fun journey to be on. And Kim, she said this when we had a call yesterday, which is basically when you start to offload thoughts and you start to offload a lot of heavy stuff, you start to feel lighter just in general. So Kim, I'm so excited for you to be here. I want to tell everybody right off the gate, if you guys don't know how I know Kim, I heard her speak at an event last summer and she completely blew me away. Completely vibrant, absolute, just passion and desire for everything she was talking about in this particular space. And I was blown away because you were so relatable. You let everyone know the journey that you've been on, the struggles that you've dealt with. You were so real. Keep it real all the time. And I can't imagine talking to anybody else in this space right now than you. And I'm so happy you're here tonight, honestly. It's amazing.
Thank you.
So how are you doing? How are things?
Oh, they're so good. You know, it's very exciting when we can step into the things that, you know, scare us like crazy. Because I'm doing a lot of that lately. And it's interesting because be careful what you desire and what you ask for, because it just might come to you. And it's funny because like last night I was on Rogers TV for their Blue Monday, where I was able to speak on mental health and really focusing on this feeling of I am enough and really learning to love and accept ourselves for where we are in this place, right? We've got one body, and the more we can learn to accept it and still want to be healthier, whatever that looks like, we're going to go farther. So it's been fun, and I'm so excited to just be meeting the people that I'm meeting. Like, I never dreamed that choosing to be an entrepreneur, which is not like I sought out to become one.
Right. Me neither.
Right?
Yeah. How
Yeah.
did that happen?
I don't know.
We are.
Some people do that, right? They go out and seek it, and mine fell upon me through my story and through my journey. I want to help others now. But it's incredible, and you just open up your arms to it, and you learn as you go, and it's a ride. It's a ride.
You know what, Kim? I have to tell you, you absolutely have just articulated for me what I've been trying to say, and I think I've said it in so many different ways, but you've just managed to say it perfectly, which is I didn't set out to be an entrepreneur. Like, I'm a businesswoman. You're a businesswoman. But I didn't set out to be an entrepreneur. It fell upon me because of the fact that I started to share my story, just like you have been sharing your story. And what I really think is so special about that is that we always say this, right? There's a saying about hard work and heart work.
Yes.
Right? And you're a heart-centered businesswoman.
Very much.
I am as well. And I feel that the entrepreneur's journey, which Andrew and I spoke about in week 1, Joe and I spoke about in week 2, and again, we'll talk about it tonight, is that when you are following your true purpose because of what you've been through, and you're so relatable in your story, and you're feeling it, you've lived it, when you're trying to exert that kind of help to others, it's just that much more, and it is an overused word, but it's true, it's that much more authentic, right? And you feel so much more power and passion in making a difference. right?
Absolutely, because when you've stepped into it yourself and you've been able to go from one end, okay, you know where you know where the space and what life looked like before.
Yes.
And now you know what life looks like, but most importantly feels like now.
Yes.
It is your duty. It is your duty to share your lessons. It's my good friend always says, who I've learned so much from. I'll do a shout out to you right now, Marcia.
Hi, Marcia.
She always says, our story is not ours to own.
Yes.
Our story is ours to share with others who need the lessons. Mm-hmm. We have the answers to the struggles that we were in.
Yes.
And it is our job, it is our heart calling to give that to other people.
Yes. You know what? One of the things, I'm paraphrasing this quote, but I have it on my phone. And when I saw this, other people sharing it on Facebook and other social media, and then of course I saved it, it says something about there's no greater, how do I say it, like tragedy than having an untold story inside of you that you don't end up sharing with other people, right? Guys, I want to segue, just like our show in week 1 and our show in week 2, Kim is debuting the Health, Fitness, and Overall Mindset business series starting tonight. And like I've said with the other segments, and I will continue to say tonight, because every segment and every topic has so many layers and so many phases and categories, there's no way to do it justice in just an hour. And that's why we're going to be unveiling and uncovering all these truisms over the course of the next several months. And so being Kim's debut tonight, she's going to cover off sort of an overall introduction to the segment. And obviously I want to lead the conversation so you get to know her even more than you already do. And if you don't know her, you will get to know her because she has a very compelling story. And then of course, in subsequent episodes, she's going to start to really get into deep dives of different segments around this big topic because there's just so much to cover.
There really is, and it's we have to just take it in little pieces, right? We can't bite it all off, and the power is that we can learn from all these different pieces, and it's going to unfold. And I think this is a nice way too for me to say that those of you that are watching it, as I share my story and the different things that I'm going to teach on, if you have questions and you want to learn on anything specifically, please put that in the comments. You can private message me as well.
Yes.
And that's really what this is about, is to help teach, to help inspire, and to help people move through those roadblocks in their life.
Yeah, and you know what? That's a good point. If you guys have questions, you can obviously ask them during the show. We're going to get to the comments. You can ask anything. You can always direct message Kim. If you have any thoughts or comments, you can direct message me. And then in subsequent shows, we'll of course answer and tackle a few because I think everyone can learn one thing or another about the segment. There's so much to uncover. I, for one, we're going to get to see who's on, but I, for one, I just want to say two things, if I may. Sure. Kim was on a previous Anything Goes show with Julia and I on Thursday night. I'm just going to continue to uncover her story. It's her story to share. But in meeting Kim and following her on social media, I want to say two things. Number one, she had a very powerful post. They're all powerful. But there was one powerful post, and I mentioned it last time on the show, and it was a beautiful picture of Kim, and she was in a 2-piece bathing suit, and she looked gorgeous. And the tagline, again, I'm paraphrasing, but it had something to say about this is what an eating disorder looks like. And that was very powerful to me. And so we're obviously going to touch upon this tonight and in subsequent episodes. But the second thing I want to mention is I want Kim to talk about, and whatever you guys think about the subject, because I feel like there is a big issue with comparisons. Comparisons. Body comparisons, looking good in that outfit, not looking good in that outfit. I'm a size 2, I'm a size 6, I'm too big. My hair is too long, too short, too this. But not only just physical comparisons, but also comparisons as people, and then that speaks to self-esteem, speaks to confidence or lack thereof. And again, we're covering it all, right? Physical, emotional, and mental.
Well, because it's all part of you, right?
Yeah.
And our bodies, our minds, they're with us all the time.
Yeah.
And the more we're trying to run from those thoughts, we can't run from them. They
That's
eventually
right.
do impact our health in some way or another, which is ultimately what happened with me too. But it is all part of it, and that's why it's our job to tackle it, to talk about it,
Exactly.
and to be brave enough and to find the courage to talk about it.
So we're going to see who's on, and then Kim, if you wouldn't mind, for those of you, those folks who don't know your story, if you could spend a few minutes talking about your story exactly the way Julia and I heard it when we were at the Empower Networking. Because I'm telling you, like, I see Kim across the room, and beautiful woman, and then she gets up in front of a microphone and she talks about the last 30 years of her life. And had I not heard her story, and I see her at a grocery store or at a park or something, I would never know. And I think that it's interesting, and I think it's very important, because we're always talking about how people are struggling with something and everybody looks okay on the outside, but sometimes that's the farthest from the truth, right?
Yeah, and those of us that are struggling on the inside are often the ones that people think are fine, because we've learned how to cover the wounds.
Mask it.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Let's see who's on. And then, Kim, we're going to get it back to you. Okay.
Sounds good.
First of all, thank you again, everybody, for tuning
Thanks,
in.
everybody.
Really appreciate the love. You guys are awesome. We've got Joe Stetter. Thank you so much for tuning in. Joe, how are you? We've got Jeannie Pullen.
Jeannie. Hi,
how
Jeannie.
are you? Thank you so much. She says, hi, beautiful ladies. Hey, Kim. Thank you so much for tuning in. Tammy Adams, how are you?
Yeah, Tammy.
Such a supporter. She's always sharing
She
the post.
is.
Thank you so much. How are you doing, Tammy? We've got Carolyn Westlake. How are you? Lovely Carolyn. How you doing?
Carolyn.
Again, another example of a woman that I met through sort of the speaking events, and lovely lady. And she gets up and she starts to talk about, her story. And again, very moving, very compelling. And you know what? For someone who, and I'll often talk about this, lost my mojo there for a while. One day I just decided, maybe if I talk and get up on a stage in front of people I don't even know, that's going to be a good idea. And you want to know something? It was probably the best thing I had done for myself. And then watching yourself and others doing the same thing, and the support that people give to one another, I got to tell you, the healing power that goes with that is unbelievable.
Absolutely. And I mean, everybody does it in their own time and space. But it's sometimes what we need. We know the power of speaking and releasing the shame, releasing.
Yes.
It has to, because again, talking about that emotional weight, we have made our own stories like no one has ever struggled with what I'm struggling with. And when you start to talk about it, it just opens up such opportunities for connection and for sharing.
Yes.
Yeah, it's so
you
powerful.
Know what? So I'm just saying this to remind myself, but the comparison side of things, but then also the expectation side of things, right? And of course, I mean, I was a young girl once. I used to buy the magazines and see all the thin models and this, that, and the other. And so I think there's always a level of expectation. And then, I really truly believe that, like, if I'm a size 12 and I'm happy with a size 12, I'm happy with a size 12. Nobody should tell me that I should be a size 6. If I'm not happy with a size 12 and that's me, and I know I can get healthier, then that's on me to own as well, right? But it's this constant, again, I go back to comparisons. I think it's pretty dangerous.
Yeah, this is a topic in itself for an entire episode.
I know.
I'm like holding back here. I'm about to jump on my soapbox here right now. But yeah, there's so much to it, and we have to just
dissect it a little at a time.
Be good at doing things for ourselves for the right reasons.
Yeah.
That's how I can sum that up is what's your why?
For the right reasons, right? Absolutely. Laura Sanzo is watching. Thank you so much for tuning in. Tammy says, hello, ladies. Jermalyn Barnes is watching. Hey,
Jermalyn.
lovely. How are you? And again, in typical fashion, I also want to mention that Jermalyn is going to be taking next Tuesday's spot, January 28th, for her debut on Anything Goes to Business. And she's going to be talking about modern dating and relationships. Again, so exciting. All these topics, again, big topics, but in their own right, very important, because if you think about all the different things that we cover, everyone is going through one thing at least, if not 5 things,
Yeah.
Julia and I talk about these all on the regular every single week, right?
That's right.
We've got, Jeannie says Kim is such an amazing woman. absolutely agree on that. We've got, Jermelyn says, hello, ladies. Jeannie says, Marcia, I can't even pronounce it.
Van Weinsberg
is the best. Thank you for pronouncing that. I would have messed it up. Jermelyn says, yes, our stories can and will help others. It's important to share. 100%. Marca Cabral is watching. Hi, Marca. Nice to see you. Missed you Saturday night at Blues. Hope you're well. Lori McCrae, amazing Kim.
Yes. Hi, Lori.
Susan Rizzo is watching. Hi, Susan. Thank you so much for tuning in. Jeannie says, I worked with Kim Bassler and it helped me so much. I'm still a work in progress, but her heart is full of love and caring, such an inspiration.
Thank you.
100%. And I knew this the minute Julia and I saw her speak and heard her speak last year. We gravitated to you right away. Like, we just gravitated. There's, when you meet certain people and there's that vibe, and the vibe doesn't change, it just gets stronger. And that is what true friendship connectivity is all about. I can't stress that enough, So I'm in agreement with you on all of that. Karen McKinnon is watching. Thank you, Karen, so much for tuning in. Jeannie says, don't rely on the scale. We are more than the square box, right, Kim?
Yes, most definitely.
Yeah. You know what I say about the scale? It's just a number, just like my age. I say it's just a number. It's how we feel, right?
So true.
It is.
So true.
Elsa Hernandez, thank you so much for tuning in. She says in, I think, Spanish. So I don't even know. But it sounds like it's something really positive.
Is there a translation button or something?
There isn't. But thank you so much for tuning in.
Thank you.
I appreciate that. Susan Rizzo says, so important to share your story and shed light on this epidemic mental health issue, empowering those who so need to hear this. I agree with that. And you know what Susan says epidemic. And it is, isn't it?
Oh, and it's an epidemic that's been going on for years and years.
Yeah.
And especially now with social media, it's, my husband and I have talked a lot about that with the kids, and what the kids and their teenagers are having to deal with now.
Yeah.
That, when we were younger, it wasn't as prominent, right? It was showing up in different ways, but it wasn't. I mean, now our kids with the phones, even us as adults, I mean, let's be real here. It's you're always, if you're going through your feed and it's comparison and judgment and questioning yourself on a regular basis, it can take you down.
Remember what I was saying to you about earlier, back in the day, like before technology and the internet and all that good stuff? I said to you that you pick up a Cosmopolitan or you pick up a Teen Beat. I'm so aging
Teen Beat,
myself.
I so remember
but
that.
Anyway, and you're looking at the models and you're looking at, and you see them and they're thin and what have you. Well, now in the modern age, you're looking at Instagram models, right? You're looking at social media models, people that are getting paid, that are using social media and using their bodies and using, whatever means to make money, to build their brand. And you know what? What I say is, look, more power to you. If you look good, you work hard, and you're able to get to that, no problem. But again, we go back to, is that the expectation? Is that reality? Is that really what we're all supposed to strive for? I don't think so. But what do you say?
I really think we have to honor our own journeys. No, you can follow somebody on Instagram and do everything that they've told you to do, eat all the same food, eat everything the same as them, train the same way, and you will never be them.
Right.
Never. So we have to recognize that our bodies are all different. There's a lot of people that are forcing their bodies to be a size that their body doesn't naturally want to be at.
Right.
We have to keep that in mind.
Right.
And we also never know what could be going on. Just because somebody looks healthy, we see this a lot. That person looks healthy because in today's standard, they are thin. They look healthy, but what is going on in their mind? I mean,
but what's healthy?
What is
right?
healthy?
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
So they could be seen as a healthy body, but maybe they're not a healthy mind. They could be a healthy mind, but maybe others will see them and go, well, that's not a healthy weight for them.
That's right.
Says who?
Says who? Right. And that's our world, though. That is that's our diet culture world.
Yeah.
That is telling us that in order to be healthy, you need to be a certain size.
Yeah.
And we know that that's not true.
Yeah.
That you can be in a larger body. And I use the word fat too because I want to take the stigma away from that word. Some people are thin, some people are fat. It doesn't matter. But the fact is, we can be healthy in different sizes.
Yes.
Very, very important. And who are we to put judgment on somebody else?
Yeah.
That's the piece. There's too much judgment around it.
I agree. And then the other thing I was just going to say, based on what you've just said, is speaking about mental health and being mentally healthy or not, there's also that equation of emotional eating. Mm-hmm. Whether you're hungry or not, there's that emotional eating component, right?
Yeah.
So that's a whole other.
That's another. We should do a whole episode on that.
That's a whole other episode. Okay, but we'll get to that. So guys, thank you so much. We've got. Lori McCrae says, Kim helped me through the toughest time in my life. I thought at first it was about my body image, and then I found out it was about my marriage issues and low self-esteem. I ended up separating from my husband and am now healing. It was Kim that helped me get here. Lori, first of all, thank you so much for sharing a part of your story. We always want to say that it's never easy to share, especially on social media. But on the other side of the coin, the Anything Goes movement is about disrupting all these myths, right? That it is okay to share. Whoever's going to judge is going to judge no matter what, but those are not the people that matter. I think the people that matter are the ones that truly empathize and understand. I've got people who say they love me in terms of like friendships, okay? But are judgmental and don't actually realize that they're judgmental. I haven't disowned them. I just know that I can't get to that place with them because they're too narrow-minded in their thinking, okay? It doesn't mean that they're bad people. It just means that there's certain, they wouldn't be my lifeline. If I was having a time with certain things, they wouldn't be it. How do we break that? I don't know, but the reality of the situation is you're going to find people that are constantly not berating, that's not the right word, but wondering like, why do you have an issue with this? Why do you have an issue with that? And I want to say, is it because they lead a perfect world? I mean, according to whom, right? But it's almost like if you haven't been through something, how can you understand or empathize?
That is the key right there. And see, that's the compassion piece that when we're feeling judged and when people don't understand us, it's very easy to come back from a place of fear and hate. I'm doing my best every day to go from a place of love and understanding that people are doing the best that they can. But I've been doing this work now I'm in 2 years now in this coaching field, and I've always had compassion for people who are struggling with their bodies in whatever way that looks like. But man, do I have a better understanding now of the journeys that get people to, that place of binging or that place of this chronic diet mentality, like all the things that lead up to it. So how can we even begin to understand somebody when we don't know their story?
That's right.
We never know it, right?
That's right. And you know what? And again, this is another segment and another piece with so many diets and programs out there, and you can just Google what's right for you, and that's another thing, and that's another thing that Kim can help with as well. So we'll keep talking about it. So again, Lori, thank you so much for sharing that. Joe says, love you right back. Hope you're well. Carolyn says, hi, Kim and Marella. Hope you're doing well, Carolyn. We've got Uplife Rick Andy, and I think that's his kind of like his performance name. He's out in, and I apologize, but I know it's somewhere in different parts of the world, and he's one of my Facebook friends. So I want to say Jamaica, it could be Ghana, it could be one of those places, but it's far away. I know he's a performer. I know he's into music. So thank you so much for tuning in. I really do appreciate that. We've got, supporters from all over the world, and that's the beauty of social media, because it does connect people from all over. And you know what? We're learning from each other, aren't we? Right?
Yeah. It's my business has grown from social media. I believe that social media has a beautiful platform to help people. It's just a matter of where are you spending your time? What information are you taking in? But my relationships with people all around the world. I have a client right now in New Zealand. I have many clients out in the States. I have somebody in, I've just lost where she's from. But anyways, all around the world, right?
Yes.
And it's powerful because when you can feel connected with somebody who understands you and has been in the shoes and walked the roads that you're walking, sometimes we are grasping for that. Thank you. Somebody's understanding me and not just telling me go on another diet.
Yeah. And you know what? And you speak to this just now. You've spoken about it before. We cover this off on Thursday nights as well. Social media is a beautiful platform if used wisely, if we know what we want to get out of it. When people are using social media to validate themselves, again, we start to get into, I think, dangerous, unhealthy levels of whatever that could look like, right? We know that. Again, we go back to comparison. So I think as long as people can sort of delineate between sort of the angel and the devil on their shoulder, because people can go to the dark side.
Oh yeah,
it's
very,
all
very
about the
quickly.
likes and the followers and this and that, and
And I mean, that's we'll talk a little bit about my journey, but that's the place I pulled myself off when I hit my, I used to call my rock bottom, but I believe that was me climbing back up to the top. But I removed myself from social media because I knew if I was in that space, in the low state that I was in, I was just going to take myself into a deeper hole. So now, mind you, I think there was also I'm going to be honest, there was a hiding. I was hiding because I had so much shame in the place that I got to, that I just didn't want to be seen. How can I post anything and be the me that I thought I was, that the world thinks I was, when I was in that state? So I hid for a while.
And you're feeling afraid that people are going to chastise you, judge you, say, oh, like, what's she doing there? Or, oh, look at her story, or she was too weak to handle the situation, or whatever the case may be. There was a lot of that, right?
Oh, a lot of it, yeah. And I mean, the thing is anybody that knows me, I'm overall a very happy, especially now.
Yes.
But that's how everybody knew me to be, was the positive, inspiring Kim. I was never the type that would go on social media and like throw out nasty, angry stuff. It just didn't serve me. But I couldn't do that at that time in my life, be that person.
Because you were fighting.
I was fighting. I was completely empty, and I was fighting. And it was a really, really scary time in my life. So how can I be on that space?
Of course. But you know what? Good on you to have recognized that and taken a step back. We're going to continue with the comments. And then again, for those who just joined, we're going to get to Kim's story. I want everybody to hear what I heard last summer, the first time I heard Kim speak. I have to tell you, to the point where, again, we talk about this often. When people are real and they are authentic and they are not hiding behind a smoke show of whatever that looks like, I have a lot more respect for people. I'm not saying that people have to put out all their dirty laundry. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that someone who is struggling and saying, you know what, I'm not perfect, I've gone through this, or I haven't taken a vacation in 6 years because I can't afford it, so you're not going to see vacation pictures, or I'm struggling in this, or I'm struggling with that. I have more immense respect for, because I know that I could reach out to those people knowing that they're dealing with something. But when everybody is perceived to be so happy and so vibrant and thriving and making money and what have you, you're just thinking, oh, okay, well, they're great, and you continue to support them. But you never know the struggle that they're going through until you find out that it's not, the reality is not what you believe it to be.
No. And for anybody, and I can say that I'm pretty happy in my life right now, but I definitely have my points, my low points, dealing with stuff even right now. And we never fully know. And
you said it's a work in progress.
It's always a work in progress, all of it. And I think that we're just showing up the best that we can.
Yes.
And I think that that's important too for anybody that's struggling with their own. It's not like we get to a destination and then like, we're done.
No,
never.
No, 100%.
Especially in if you struggle with body acceptance, any types of eating disorders, disordered eating patterns. This is a world where there's messaging everywhere we go, like everywhere we go, even in our own homes.
Yes.
So to think that it's not like it goes away, you learn how to manage it more. You know how to take care of yourself. You know how to set boundaries, these types of things.
Well, we talk about boundaries as well. And sometimes the very boundaries you have to put are with your loved ones, are with the people that care for you, are your friends. We talk about triggers all the time. Even on our Thursday night space, Julie and I, we open up our own journeys, of course, with our guests. This is what it's all about, right? So you guys keep sharing, keep letting us know. And this is what it's all about, is to continue opening the lines of communication, right? Yeah. We've got Celeste Seferina, watching. Thank you so much for tuning in. Uplife says, hi, good night. Thank you so much for tuning in. Jeannie says, sharing is incredible. Lots of ugly tears and happy tears. Yes.
It's all a part of it, Jeannie, isn't it?
Yeah, it's all a part of it, right? Joe says some people have issues Some people have issues. I have a subscription with back issues. Right. So you never know. You're right. Like a lot of people have different kind, of issues, and you wouldn't know unless you share. And the other thing too is Joe mentions back issues. I know for me, I was dealing with back issues for a long time. And you know what? Okay, I had 2 hit and run car accidents. I've been open about that. It was a very difficult time, 8 months apart. Obviously, my back's going to hurt. I had a hit and run car accident. But I also realized that when my back pain was at its worst, or my knee pain, or my stomach pain, or some neck pain, was when I was going through some of the biggest, most stressful, anxiety-filled years of my life.
Yes. Very powerful, isn't it? That awareness.
Wow.
Yeah. And that's going back to the emotional weight on the body, right? Yeah. We never know what can be manifesting as pain, like where that pain's coming from.
Yes.
That's why sometimes it takes these times of slowly working on different pieces to see if you can make your health better in some way. But sometimes it's this deeper thing.
It's a deeper thing.
Deeper.
Until you realize, if you don't know, you're just kind of coasting along. So you think, oh, you know what? Yeah, if I lose 10 pounds, chances are my knees won't hurt as much. And that's probably true. But also I realized that when I was dealing with a lot of stress and anxiety, and I know exactly when and what years, I think the weakest parts of my body suffered the most. I could honestly say it. As soon as I started to alleviate and release and actually give myself a break, right? And not be so hard on myself, things didn't hurt as much physically in my body.
And I think that's also where your ability to tolerate and deal with the pain, because you're in a healthier space in your mind. So
mental detox.
Yes.
Mental detox.
Yes. And so then you're able to handle things a little. So whether the pain went down, we don't know.
Yes.
But you were able to handle a little bit more because life was a little bit lighter for you.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's very important. And trust me, I put in the work to get to that point. Yes. And when I did, it was like, whoa. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Marcia, who you speak so highly of, is on. Thank you so much, Marcia.
Thanks, Marcia.
Marcia is replying to Jeannie. Jeannie says, my ears are ringing. You're too sweet. Marcia says, so proud of you, Kim. Kim Wilson is watching. Hey, lovely.
Kim.
How are you? Hope you're well. Joe says, I'm a Barbie girl life in plastic. It's fantastic. Come on, Barbie, let's go party. Now, if Julia was here, she would have sang that, but I'm not Julia, and we're doing the business edition
Gotta have
tonight.
that deep voice, right?
I'm a Barbie girl. Yeah, exactly. But he says, seems to be the standard of messaging today. And you know what? It seems to be the standard of messaging in the last 30, 40 years as well.
It's always changing, and there's been I don't have all of it in front of me, obviously, but if we look at the trends from years and years back, we're chasing this body type. Right now, there's definitely a body type of having a booty and this is the trend right now. And having some more muscle. There's this trend happening, especially in the fitness world. But the things we're chasing things that, however long this trend is going to stay around, and then we're going to be on to something else. Like nothing stays.
Right.
So we're chasing something that, isn't ever going to be good enough for the rest. That's why we have to just be good with ourselves.
Never going to be good enough.
Never.
Ever.
No, and when you're good enough with yourself and you can keep yourself healthy, whatever that looks like for you, that's when you're able to sustain it. And you're doing it for the right reasons as opposed to chasing the norms. Right?
Amen. Let's get an amen in the chat, shall we? Because that was good. Snap, 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 as Julia says. Kim Wilson sends the red heart. Thank you so much. Rosa Rivera is on. Thank you so much for tuning in. She says, hello, ladies. Jessica Dreyer is watching.
Hey, Jessica.
Hope you're well. Thank you so much for tuning in. Aziz is on. Hey, Aziz. How are you? Missed you the last few weeks. I hope you're doing well. He says, hello, everyone. Arturo says, Flores says, good night. Thank you so much for tuning in. Doris says, good evening, beautiful ladies. Again, thank you so much. So many wonderful people, right? Wonderful support. Tammy says, love this whole conversation.
Love it.
Thank you so much, Tammy. Karen Leslie is watching. She was a guest on our show last Thursday night. It was absolutely amazing.
She's a beautiful woman.
Thank you so much for tuning in. Absolutely. Jimmy is on. Hey, Jimmy, how are you? We cannot do a show without doing...
Jimmy's always on, isn't he?
Jimmy's fantastic. He's always on.
I want to meet Jimmy one day.
Jimmy says, this is a good question. He says, what would you recommend for someone who can't forgive?
Someone who, well, the forgiveness piece, and that's a big question. I mean, forgiveness is really, you're doing this for yourself, right? Yeah. And I think that sometimes with the way I have learned to forgive is knowing that whoever may have hurt you has done the best that they could. We never know what has led up to that person making the choices that they made. And right or wrong, the choice has been, what they did to you has happened. And for you to marinate in that pain, that person a lot of the time has moved on, and you're still marinating in that pain, and you're the one now that is still stuck in it. And so it's this understanding of knowing that the person did the best that they could. Forgiveness is a big one too. I encourage people to do what feels good to release the pain, whether that be writing a letter to the person who has hurt you. Maybe you never mail it, or maybe you write it and you burn it. Like, we have to be able to say the things that we've wanted to say, but maybe we couldn't. Maybe the person has passed away, or maybe you've chosen to set boundaries, but you still have things that are, in you. But forgiveness is really important for you to be able to move on. And I don't think that you ever might clear it from you, but you're able to find peace with what has happened.
And you know what? That's important. So as you were talking, and I'm thinking about forgiveness, right? Forgiveness is not necessarily easy to do. It's easier in some scenarios, perhaps more difficult in some.
Absolutely.
But is it safe to say, is it accurate to say, if you're able to come to terms and forgive that person for whatever, the liberation of forgiveness starts to take away the weight off of your entire
100%.
Yeah.
If you imagine if you're spending all of your waking hours still dealing with the pain that puts, like whether that came from the words that they said to you, what they did to you, and it takes time, but I fully agree.
Heavy burden?
Oh, huge. Yeah. I mean, I've got that in my own personal life with the pain from my father. Yes. We have to know that in order for us to be able to live a life that is more easy, because pain and constantly, hurting yourself because you have been hurt, and letting those like sometimes we take on the pain that somebody has put on, and then that becomes who you are in the world.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And then you put your pains onto other people because you're still struggling with your own.
That happened to me. Okay. I talk about this, and this is part of my healing, and this is part of my therapy, self-therapy, if you will. When my husband died, for many years, I would not forgive myself. Okay. Never mind others. I wouldn't forgive myself. I was constantly thinking, if I had gotten him to the hospital earlier, if I had understood what he was going through, if maybe I was more aware, like I was just, I'm not a doctor. I wanted to save him. I couldn't save him, but I couldn't forgive myself for losing like the love of my life, and that burden that I put on myself, I gotta tell you, is more than any, amount of cookies and cookie dough ice cream that I could indulge in. I'm telling you, it just puts such pressure. So I think self-forgiveness is part of it too.
There's so many things. I mean, because it really comes down to, sometimes people's traumas, they're quite heavy.
Yes.
They're very, very heavy. And sometimes the things that I hear have happened to one person. Like, it's unbelievable that people are still able to carry themselves around in the world with the amount of pain that they've had inflicted on them.
Yeah.
And I think it's really important for us to be proud of ourselves, because some people are carrying so much. And if we can just allow ourselves to know that we're doing the best that we can. We might not always show up in the world the way we want, and no matter how much we try, and we keep setting these goals for ourselves, it's like, why can't I? Just it's patience on your journey, and keep showing up. And keep showing up. Keep showing up. Yeah.
Keep showing up. That's it. I love that. Keep showing up. Jimmy, thank you so much. That was a wonderful question. Appreciate it. Karen says, hey, ladies. Jeannie says, body image for the past 56 years due to a huge birthmark on my leg. but I had a freeing moment last summer on vacation, had to text Kim to celebrate with her. I'm the new looking Barbie plump, LOL. I love it, Jeannie. Thank you so much for sharing that.
That is a woman right there who has stepped into her life. Like, it is, you amaze me, and you know how I feel about you, Jeannie. So proud of you.
Thank you so much for sharing. We got a few amens in the chat. Thank you. Aziz says, thanks, Marella. I'm doing great. You have something waiting for you in your LinkedIn inbox. Okay, I'll definitely check it out later. Absolutely. Tammy says, forgiveness is not a feeling, it's a choice. I love that. You know what? Thank you so much for sharing that. Priscilla Sousa is watching. Hi, Priscilla. Thank you so much for tuning in. She says, yes, I made it. It's 12:10 in the morning here. So glad I made it. Thank you so much. Aziz says, yes, that's true. Forgiveness is very important for you more than the other person. It will help to cleanse your soul.
Absolutely.
You know what? I couldn't agree more. And especially because you go through it. And again, we talk about empathy and we talk about compassion, you know. Priscilla says, yes, so true. And she also says, love from, I always get this, Sa Miguel, I think it is, waited all day for the show tonight. Important topics. Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm going to put my phone down right now. I want to make sure we've got ample time. We're still good. I want to, for those of you who don't know, that have just tuned in, that have been with us since the beginning of the show, I want Kim to spend a few minutes telling us about her journey with this, with health, with fitness or lack thereof, for probably the last, would you say 30 years, maybe 25?
Well, it's for sure 30, if not more,
yeah.
you know. And obviously a big topic when you've got 30 years of
Huge.
Of content here. But just a snapshot, which I feel allows me to talk on the topics that we're talking on. I've worked in the fitness industry since 1993. I started when I was 16. So I've been in the health and fitness industry, and I know what I've struggled with in my own journey, which I'll talk about in a second, but I also have heard so many stories and had so many caring conversations with people. I've been in the group fitness realm for all those years. I've been a personal trainer. I've been a group training coach. I've worked in management and leadership. And I loved doing all these things for myself. Okay. Like, I knew at a heart level that health and fitness was important to me, and it made me feel good. But what got me into that space initially was in this space of, I'm not enough. My body is not good enough. So I started dieting when I was 12 years old. And, you know, I look back, because again, I don't put blame on anybody, because again, we're all doing the best that we can, but there are so many people that are living in homes, or you may be a mother yourself and you are in the dieting mode. You know, back at that stage of my life, my mother was counting calories. She was always trying to work on her health. And so when 12 years old, when there was nothing wrong with my body, there's nothing wrong with anybody's body, but I was uncomfortable. And I don't think there was nothing wrong with me. My body was fine. But because I felt that internal feeling, I manifested it as, I need to change my body.
Right.
So it's like, what came first? I think it's just that feeling of teenage, not knowing yourself. It's an awkward age, right? So, started dieting when I was 12, and my dieting career, as I call it, it's really chronic dieting. It started, you know, in a lot of fasting, a lot of restriction. There was a period of time in my high school years where there was purging going on. So, you know, you're trying to eat all the right foods, because, of course, we know that the world is telling us there are good foods and there are bad foods. And so I was doing everything I could to eat the right foods and trying to not eat the other things. And then, but you want them, right? And it's hard. And then the guilt and the shame comes. So I had periods of my life where there was this purging going on. And of course, that was all being done with nobody knowing, under the roof of my house. And I hid all that at a lot of binging, and that's how I went with stress, right? Food stepped in for me to try and help me through. And a lot of it, I know as I look back, it was a rocky time with my parents splitting, and the things that I think I was lacking, that love for self. And so it got very tumultuous, and then it turned into a lot of exercise. So it's like, we know the world tells us, exercise more, eat less, get your body smaller. And then you do that, and then the cycle continues, and you're gaining and losing the weight constantly. And it starts to impact your thoughts and your fear. You're fearing food. You're hiding away. You're not eating with other people. You're then having to think about, what do I need to do to burn this off, because now I've ate that. So there was a lot of that in my life.
Pressure.
So much pressure. And, you know, being in the fitness industry and being around people that are all dealing with their own stuff. So you're hearing it. You're like, I mean, I have memories of being 14 years old and walking into the women's change room. And back then, do you remember those fitness machines where the women would sit on them and they were wooden rollers and they would vibrate? So I would like walk in and there would be women sitting on these rollers, you know, in their bra and underwear, and they're like 60, 70 years old and they're breaking up their cellulite. Like, this is the stuff that I remember, and just a lot of body shaming and a lot of I'm not enough. So we see it. It then manifested, you know, I had different periods of my life where I would go up and down with, you know, sometimes I was doing better, right? My mental health really started to suffer more in the 2011, 12, 13, when I, everything that I thought I was going after in my life to feel successful, to feel needed, to feel validated, I stepped into this leadership role for a fitness company that I was working for, and I loved it and I was excited. But the pressures that I had on myself, I was a chronic people pleaser. Because again, it's this piece of
chronic people pleasing.
Yeah. I'm wondering if anybody exactly. So this comparison, this perfectionism, it showed up in my job then, because I had like 75 people underneath me that I wanted to give them all of me, and they were in 3 different cities. And I'm a mother. I have 2 children. I'm a wife. And what ended up happening is all of this pressure to not only take care of me in an unhealthy way, you know, lots and lots of exercise, way too much that is never needed for any human body. And then the pressures of the role I had at work, and then the pressures of home, because there was always stuff going on at home that we're always working on, right?
Yeah.
We always have stuff going on.
It never stops.
And it got to be it got to be too much. My health started to suffer. I was dealing with, I would say for a good year and a half, I could not sleep anymore. I woke up every 90 minutes. Every 90 minutes, my body was in hives. I would break out in hives. That took me about 2 years for those hives to go away once I started working on myself. Chest pains. And I think my breaking point was where my thoughts started to get really unsafe for me. When I was in such a place of running and pushing and striving and trying to do all these things, and every single minute of my day was scheduled to try and meet everyone's needs and not taking care of myself. And I'm doing all this with no sleep and just a lot of unhappiness in me.
I'm going to interrupt you right now, and I'm going to ask you this question. This is what I'm listening to. This is what I'm hearing, okay? I'm hearing this whole need for validation. I'm hearing this need for control of your life. It was probably out of control at a certain point.
And the more you try to control it, the less control you have.
Right. I'm also hearing the people-pleasing side, which, let's face it, we all, if we're heart-centered and we're selfless people, we want to people-please. I'm also hearing self-love or lack thereof, not loving ourselves enough. As you're talking, Kim, it sounds to me, so correct me if I'm wrong, that it became an obsession.
Oh, 100%.
Would you say?
An obsession that I was trying to chase something and I didn't even know what I was chasing anymore. Because you lose sight of joy, and you lose it.
Did you lose yourself?
Oh, I lost myself completely. There was my breaking point. I can think of Christmas of 2015. I remember being at my mom's house and leaving the family. I did this a lot. I would check out. I would run away from places where I was feeling unhappy. Like, I knew at a heart level, I didn't pay attention to it.
And sorry to interrupt you. I just want to say, lovely Joseph and Maria, who are in the house, if we could just kind of keep the chatter to a minimum in the studio, because we are really trying to, I'm trying to listen to Kim, and I really want to get her story out to everybody. This is a very intense, very personal, very powerful story. So we can keep any excess chatter to a very minimum so we get everybody to listen to this. I think it's very, very important. It's not easy to share stories like this. So thank you. Love you guys. As we say that very nice and politely.
You are always always polite.
Okay, go for it. So you're
Christmas,
yes.
checking out. You know, everybody's laughing, having fun.
Yes.
And unfortunately, that's what happens is when we're in a place of pain and we are pushing away and we're chasing things that we're unhappy with, we can't even let joy come in anymore. So here I am at Christmas and seeing all this happiness, and I'm numb to it all. Very empty. It's hard to understand and articulate the feeling. It's all good. I'm in such a good place now.
I know. But
I know.
every time I hear this story, it's like anything else. It's so heartbreaking because you know what? I'm hearing like emptiness. I'm hearing void. I'm hearing not happy. I'm hearing I'm missing something. I'm hearing nobody should feel. And you know what? Even though I had feelings like that, but for different reasons, it's never a good place for anybody to be, because you know what? None of us are alone, even though we feel like we're alone.
Very much so. I appreciate you. I appreciate you. It's but like that's the thing. Then of course, you don't want people to know. So I mean, I remember retreating to my mom's bedroom. I told her I wasn't feeling well.
Right.
You know,
right.
Wasn't feeling well. And I went to her room and I remember crying up there. And Thanksgiving the following year, I mean, anytime I was around family, that was the toughest. Yeah.
You keep going.
Yeah.
You're going to step away from
You're going to tell somebody that was the toughest time. And I mean, I'm wondering, those of you that are listening, like sometimes it's really difficult to be around, happiness when you're not feeling it within yourself. And sometimes our family is one of the toughest places for us to be able to relax and be ourselves, because there's a lot of judgment in family. My family was never like that. But that's what started to happen. And it was just this constant pursuit. I share this now, but I remember I'm pulling out of my driveway, racing my kids to one of their activities, and I hit a parked car right in front of my house because my blinders were on. And
because you were in a rush, you were thinking about so many things, trying to get to everything, trying to do everything. Right.
You got it. And these are all, there were so many warnings. I call them my heart whispers. There was all these little warnings, and eventually it got louder and louder. And I'm so grateful for all that was taught to me, because I'll never, when you hit a rock bottom like that, to the point that my mind, and I hope that this isn't a trigger for anybody, but my mind was taking me to wanting to take my car off the road. My mind was taking me to wanting to hit another car that was driving towards, like, parallel to me. And it's like, I don't think I ever wanted to do that. I just knew that I couldn't live in the life that I was living anymore, but I didn't know how to get out.
So, okay, we're going to get to that in a second. First of all I want to say is, holy crap. Wow. I heard this story before, and even now I'm hearing a little bit more. Still impacts me, still affects me.
It impacts me as I say it.
As you say it. Very powerful, very brave, very courageous, Kim. So thank you so much, because I know you're helping a ton of people out there just by sharing your story. So I want to see what folks are saying, and then we're going to get to, and I wanted to ask you, I know you said that you don't want to call it rock bottom anymore. We'll call it a stepping stone.
Yeah. I call it my spirit.
Your spirit saying,
come listen to me. I have the answers for you.
All these things that were happening, these signs around you, let's say, were not enough for you to wake up to go, look, this is not healthy. But then you were saying that as things got a little bit more severe, things got a little more aggressive and a little more out of control, all of a sudden you realized, I need to take my control back, whatever that looks like, and you need to get back to a healthy place. So I want you to think about this. I'm going to ask you, as soon as I want to see what folks are saying. I know I've seen the comments come up. How do you, you're at that point, you're crashing into cars. How do you come back from all of that? Okay, so give me a minute.
Sure.
Like I told you guys that this was going to be very compelling and intense. And like I said, we're only scratching the surface. I really wanted you guys to get to know Kim tonight. She's going to be with us for multiple segments. And there is no doubt in my mind, you guys have issues with anything that we're talking about here, and you need to talk to somebody, you need help. Kim's the girl to talk to. And there's a whole bunch of testimonials already from folks that are tuning in tonight that she's had so much impact on people. So thank you guys for doing that. Lorena is watching. Thank you so much, lovely. How are you? So great to see you on here. Karen Leslie says, the more we hide these behaviors, the more shame and troubles we have. It's a vicious cycle.
So true, Karen.
Right?
Yeah.
Lori says, wow, Kim, I hear you. Love you, girl. Lorna Dillon is watching. Hey, lovely. How are you? Thank you so much for tuning in. Really appreciate it. Really appreciate like a lot of people, supporting, because like I said, these topics are important in one form or another, Lorena says, hey ladies. Karen says, great summation of everything, Marella. Karen, thank you so much. She also says, excuse me, very true. I also found it very hard to be with happy people when I was in deeper depressions.
Yeah.
I would actually find reasons to get angry with them. And you know what? That's very, very powerful, because I'm going to tell you something. When I was mourning and I was grieving, and that went on for a while, it doesn't just happen. The funeral is over and then all of a sudden you're okay. The grief period for me actually got worse and then intensified until I reached my pinnacle, which was almost like year 6 or year 7. And even though I tried to be happy and brave and courageous, going through being in a grief-stricken mode, trying to be in happy situations I really had to put in the work to get through that.
Well, and your energy is so low to begin with. It's like, I can't even find anything for you right now.
You're depleted.
So tired.
And continue to be depleted, right? So, and we're going to talk about emotional depletion as well in tonight and in subsequent episodes, because like I said, this is all connected, you guys. So Karen, thank you so much. Karen says love and hugs to you, Kim.
Thank you.
Jeannie says there is so much pressure being a woman. Very true. Very true. Lorena says, I'm good, and you, Marella, and sending hugs to you, Kim.
Thank you.
So let's get back to, so you are at a really low point. It's not even so much how did you get back, because this is a story and you're going to walk us through this journey as people start to continue getting to know you this year. But what was the first thing what is the first thing that comes through your mind where you're like, Kim, snap out of this. You got to get better. What are you thinking?
Well, I mean, what I didn't share was that my marriage was suffering.
Yeah.
We were fighting a lot.
Yeah.
And I retreated. So, that's the thing. When we are in pain, we often run to the things that we can avoid. Like, I can go and work, and I spend a lot of time at work.
Yes.
To avoid. But when your marriage is suffering and you're short with your children, there becomes this... that it's really difficult. That was my pivotal point, but I really think there was a lot that led up to it. But I remember leaving my families at that Thanksgiving, and I remember just sending an email to my supervisor, and I just said I need to take a leave of absence. Which,
you did.
Oh yeah, I took a leave.
You know what? Good for you. That must have been very scary for you, but you know what? I think it was the best thing that you did.
We can't make changes or even be able to know where to start when life is busy.
Yeah.
And I know that my husband always wanted me to do what was needed for me and for my family.
Yeah.
But I'm also grateful that we were able to let me leave my job.
Yes, yes.
Because I know that not everybody can.
Well, and look, I've been open about this. 2016, I had a complete breakdown, and I went into work one day. I stayed an hour and I left. And I'm a single mom, and I walked away from a high-paying job, and I had no job to go to.
Yeah.
And in a perfect world, yes, you leave a job when you have a job. But when it comes to a matter of your health and survival, there is absolutely no choice. I thought about it like this. If I'm not healthy, I can't make any kind of money now or down the road.
Yeah.
So I have to focus on my health.
And
right?
and you're a mother, and you've got your children to take care of, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely. They're not easy decisions, and that decision that I made, and of course, like, I didn't just leave the job. I left the gym, and I spent a ton of time.
You left the gym as well.
I left that in that 30-day period. 30 days. It doesn't sound like a lot of time, and that's only the scratching of the surface, but I didn't go back into the gym. Like, I left everything. I couldn't go into spaces and wonder, because not everybody, of course, knows that you've stepped away from your job, and people are going to be, like, what's people are going to say to you? And you're so raw. I was so raw that I would just cry, like, over the smallest thing, because, you've got all this weight that you're carrying, and fear. Like, there's so much fear
that you're carrying.
So much fear. So and of course, we all know that the best thing to do for yourself, one of the best things that you can do for yourself when you are in a low state, is to move in some way.
Yeah.
It helps to shift emotion. It helps to give you purpose when you can go outside and see people or see some birds in the sky. Like, these are important things, but I hid.
You hid.
And
you removed yourself from social media too, you said.
Yeah. And I remember all these. I smile as I say this, but like, I binge watched Orange is the New Black, which is like, of all the shows, like, this is not positive stuff.
No, it's deep, dark.
It's deep and dark.
Yes.
Deep and dark. I ate ice cream and I lived in my room in sadness. And, my kids saw all that, my kids are teenagers. And so they saw that, but it just being conscious of time, and we can talk about it in more episodes, but it's just learning that, I had to slow down my life intentionally and then start to do the necessary work. And just to, I remember, I want to say this too. I think it's important to say that I did go to my doctor. And I remember being there, and because of course I needed a leave of absence note, right?
Yeah.
And I remember being so incredibly emotional. And of course, the doctor wanted to give me some medication.
Yeah.
And I recognize that. And medication is sometimes what we need to help us through some tough times. I chose not to take it. I knew that at a heart level that I would be able to be okay. I had a lot of support. And I slowly started to honor the journey. I did a lot of work for myself.
I was going to say,
so much work. And it's only been 3 years, which doesn't sound like a lot of time, but I actually removing myself from the spaces and then being able to challenge myself on what were the limiting beliefs that I was carrying that were causing me to have to do the pushing.
Yes.
Do the chasing.
And you just said it, limiting beliefs. I think that's very powerful.
Mm-hmm.
So Kim, I just want to do this. First of all, thank you. Holy crap again. Really unbelievable. Like as I digest this again, it's just such a power. Like there's so much. There's so much. And that's why you guys, we can't digest this all in an hour. I really wanted Kim to do this preamble to subsequent episodes, more to come, very powerful stuff, very deep stuff. She went through a lot. She's been, healing and going on her, journey and we are, I always say that sometimes we're our own worst enemies, but we're also our best advocates as well. I do want to give a shout out. I see Christine Grauer is on and
hi,
she
Christine.
says, "Hi ladies, love you. Thank you so much for tuning in." Tony DeMarco is watching as well. We're going to get to final thoughts only because we're at that time, but I'm going to give Kim some time right now. What I want to, and you can, Kim does so much for some people, many people. I want her to give you an opportunity to follow up with her. She is on Instagram. She is on Facebook. She is on LinkedIn. Reach out to her. As part of your final thoughts, I want you to let everybody know if you had to, choose a word or 2 words or 3 words to talk about what the last 3 years of your healing journey has been and how you feel about things now, and any one piece of advice you could give people, what would that be?
The word self-acceptance comes to mind, for sure. We think that, especially in my work and in my history, we think that, and the world tells us, that if we change our body and if we strive for certain things, that we will be happy.
Yeah.
And our happiness does not come. I've weighed all different weights in my life, and I'm probably at one of my heavier places right now, and I'm the most happiest with myself.
Right.
So the happiness and the self-acceptance comes from within. It's a knowing that I am enough no matter where I am in my life. So I think of the words trust a lot. Trusting yourself, showing up for yourself is really important, because if you're able to know what's going on instead of stuffing it down, pretending it's not there, numbing it out, like whatever we're doing. If we can start to go, okay, I'm feeling this feeling and I keep running from diet to diet to diet, and I think I'm trying to do the things that are right for me and they're making me feel worse about myself. Or if I struggle with comparison or perfectionism, recognize it without judgment and just say, this is there. This is something that I know is not healthy for me. And it is the emotional weight that we talked about.
Oh, huge. And self-acceptance is so big. This is such a passionate subject for me, along with so many other things. Kim, that's powerful and beautiful. I know you help a lot of clients. Why don't you tell everybody, if they are looking for a coach as yourself and someone like yourself who helps people, they can reach out to you. Kim, you do offer consultations, let people get to know what you're all about.
Yep.
Also, guys, I've been teasing a whole bunch of event type of workshops and seminars. Kim and I are collaborating, just like I'm collaborating with all of my business wonderful collaborators and friends on the Anything Goes movement, along with Julia, and on the business side. So please, you will have an opportunity to come out and hear Kim and hear myself and a whole bunch of other people talk about a whole bunch of different things. We always want to bring value add to people. We always want to give people an opportunity to have options when looking at different coaches and different consultants and different business partners to work with. And you know what? We're all here to educate, right? And to provide value. And I feel like for me, the best, not the best, but the people that lend the most credibility for me are the ones that have walked the walk. I mean, that's the reality of the situation, right?
Yeah, I think we have to connect with the person.
Yeah.
And so many people are chasing accreditations and certifications and education just to give them more letters behind their name.
Yes.
We don't need that.
We don't need
it.
that. Can we get a snap? We don't need that. You're absolutely right.
We do need training.
We need training.
Okay,
we need
training.
Education.
Absolutely.
But we need life experiences. Listen, if I didn't have the 35, 40 years of life experiences and business experiences and career experiences that I have on 25 things, I would not be able to say to you, I can do these 25 things, okay? Yes, we can all pick up a book. We can all watch a YouTube video. We can all go and listen to other people. But at the end of the day, there has to be that caliber of integrity, credibility, and that connection with the person. You're absolutely
you have
right.
to, especially with a coach, right? You have to feel safe, especially with the work that I do, because people have to share with me, because I'm not going to put you on a diet and I'm not going to give you a meal plan. Like, that's not what I'm about. What I am going to have you do, though, is talk about the reasons why you eat. Like what
emotional eating, or when we know that the Kit Kat bars are really bad on Halloween night and we have a few more than we should, things like this. But it's Halloween night. But you know what? It's even that whole thing about, there's that stigma associated with, you had a bad day, let's go out for a couple of drinks. Oh, you've had a bad day, let's go out for some bad comfort food. Or now, you know what? Comfort food's okay once in a while.
Yeah.
But when comfort food becomes too comfortable and we're having it every night of the week, I think that's an issue.
Yeah. I always say it's not an issue till it's an issue.
Right.
I don't judge people on their eating habits. It's not my business.
Right.
It comes down to if you are only able to support yourself through ice cream, through comfort foods, and you have no other aspects of self-care.
Yeah.
There is potential that it could start to impact you.
And there's deeper rooted issues that we know.
So hence the fact that you have to feel comfortable with the person that's helping you. Because we have to talk about that stuff. This is my training is through an institute in Colorado, the Institute for the Psychology of Eating. So I'm looking at both a mind-body nutritional approach, but I'm also looking at the psychology, the thoughts, feelings, and belief systems that we carry around that cause us to have these struggles with food, binge eating, chronic dieting, emotional eating, all of these types of things. So people can absolutely find me. You can find me on Facebook. I have a page, Kim Basler, Food Freedom and Mindset Coach. Instagram, Kim Basler _Food Freedom. Website, kimbasler.com. And I will speak to anybody if you'd like to have a complimentary call and talk with me about some of the things that you're struggling with. Please feel free to do that. I also will say too as well that I do have an 8-week online program right now. It started started today actually. Woo-hoo. And it's really helping people reclaim freedom around food again. So if you do have an unhealthy relationship with food and you'd like to be able to find a way to find more peace and flow and still nourish yourself, let me know. A lot lot of my stuff is all online. I coach online as well. So reach out to me as well. It's not too late to jump into that program, and it's a group coaching environment. And so it's there for you as well.
That's amazing. Yeah. Thank you, Kim. Thank you so much. I want to say, I just saw this, made me chuckle. Lori says, love Kit Kat, not gonna lie. We all do, right?
It's all good.
Come on. Jeannie says baby steps, 1 day at a time, 1 minute at a time. Yeah. Absolutely, yes. We got a lot of amens, guys. Thank you so much. And as always, we're going to do a watch party after this. I'm going to get to all the comments. Kim will as well over the next day or two. My final thoughts. First of all, I just want to say a couple of housekeeping items. Kim, it's been an absolute pleasure going through this journey with you now that we've known each other for many, many months. I have to tell you, I have nothing but love and respect for you and for, you know, your journey, your struggles, ultimately your triumphs, and trying to help people. I cannot stress it enough. You know, we talk about good people. We talk about good vibes. Kim Basler is it. I 100%, I want to say that. The other thing I want to mention is on Anything Goes to next Tuesday night, we got Jermelyn Barnes, who's going to be talking about, again, one of my favorite all-time subjects, and my daughter Julia's, which is modern dating and relationships. Please tune in for that. You do not want to miss it. Her and her husband were part of our debut for 2020 on the Thursday night show, and they were unbelievably very powerful. Again, another person who, you know, just amazing vibe, keeps it 100, keeps it real all the time. And that's what it's all about. This Thursday night on our Anything Goes original series, Julia and I will be back here in the studio. We continue our series Inside a Woman's World. Also, very compelling stories from amazing women that have gone through everything, hell and back, I have to tell you. Really excited to be delivering this. Again, you know, sharing stories. Look out for some special announcements. We're going to be doing a whole bunch of great stuff in 2020, and we're going to continue sharing the story and helping as many people as possible. So my final thoughts is this. When we talk about self-love, and we talk about self-acceptance, and we talk about validation, Kim has said this, I've said it before, we are enough. We are enough. Anyone that says that we're not is not there to help us in a positive manner. Anyone that can actually make us feel less than we are makes us feel less worthy than we are. People that are hurting, that are insecure, that are dealing with so much, they're not even trying to be deliberately mean. They just don't know how to be any other way. Yeah. We have to understand that we are enough, and we have to be, I don't even want to say happy with ourselves. I say it at peace with ourselves, right? Every day is it's a new day, right? So as a lot of people have said, baby steps, 1 minute at a time. We are all beautiful inside and out, and the only people that we have to validate is the person that we're looking in the mirror, and that's it, 100%. So those are my final thoughts, you guys. Thank you so much again. You guys are awesome, our loyal viewers, supporters. Frequency 5 FM, my co-host this evening, Kim Basler.
Thank you.
She will be back February 18. And we're going to do a deep, well, I mean, as you saw tonight, there are so many layers, you know, but I think on the next segment, Kim was mentioning that we're going to do a bit of more of a deep dive into emotional eating, but also diets. What's right for you? What's not right for you? If a diet per se is even right for you, because sometimes it's not about a diet. Sometimes it's just lifestyle changes and making some modifications.
Yeah,
right?
and that's the whole piece, and we're going to talk about that because I've lots to share on that.
Okay, awesome. Thank you guys so much again. Have a wonderful rest of the week. We'll see you back here Thursday night, 8 p.m.
Thank you.
We'll talk to you soon. Thank you guys. Thank you.